In previous videos, I've talked about the importance of separating healthcare costs from your general living expenses in retirement. And today, I want to show you exactly why that's so important. You see, when most people build a retirement plan, they assume a flat inflation rate across the board, maybe 2% or 3% for everything. But healthcare doesn't follow those rules. Historically speaking, healthcare inflation typically exceeds general inflation by about 2%. And when you stretch that over 20 or 30 years in retirement, the difference becomes really huge and noticeable. And if you don't factor that in, and you lump healthcare in with everything else, you can end up with projections that look fine on paper, but fall short when real life costs show up. So in today's video, I'm going to walk you through two different retirement scenarios. One, where healthcare expenses are separated out and modeled with their own assumptions, and another where they're blended in with general spending. You'll see just how much that one difference can impact the entire plan. And if you're looking for a more accurate, more resilient retirement strategy, this is something that you need to see. So let's go ahead and dive into an example. I'm going to open up my financial planning software here, and we're going to look at Debbie. Debbie is 60 years old, and she plans to retire when she's 62. Her retirement expenses are about $6,000 per month. And the way her financial picture looks, she's got about $50,000 in the bank. She's got a 401k plan with about $1.25 million, a Roth IRA with about $250,000, and she owns her house. It's worth about $500,000. Now, she plans to spend about $6,000 per month in retirement. And so one thing that we do with every client that we work with is we model in healthcare costs as their own separate line item. So we include pre-Medicare costs and then out-of-pocket costs estimated based off of our client's AGI. We also always factor in long-term care costs that occur in the last 2 years of someone's life. And so what I see a lot of times with other financial planners and clients that come to us that have been working with someone else is a lot of times their plan looks a lot rosier than it should because healthcare costs are not being factored in. And so I want to show you what two different scenarios look like here in Debbie's case. So if we were to not include healthcare costs as their own line item, Debbie would be under the impression that she has an 83% probability of success, which means that there is a 83% chance that she will not run out of money during her lifetime. And our system shows that all things being equal, all assumptions carrying across the life of the plan, she'll die with a median portfolio value of about $2.4 million. Again, this is really omitting two very important expenses. And so when we actually look at what happens when healthcare costs are included as their own line item, if we put back in these pre-retirement living expenses, if we put back in the long-term care cost and the long-term care duration of 2 years, what we actually see is that Debbie has something more along the lines of a 65% probability of success, which is not bad still. And she has a median ending portfolio value of about $1.2 million. Now, Debbie's still in a really good spot, and she should still feel comfortable going into retirement that she's going to be able to live her desired lifestyle and do all the things that she wants to do. But it will give her a little bit more of a reasonable expectation because her ending assets are approximately half of when the healthcare costs are not included, and it'll temper her expectations more. So let's just say if we don't include the healthcare costs separately, and she looks at an 83% probability of success, well, then she might say, well, I have it within my plan to be able to spend maybe an additional $1,000 per month. And she might then plug in an extra $1,000 per month. She might say, okay, a 60% probability of success still looks good. I'll still die with nearly $1 million. But if she does that when the healthcare costs are actually included as their own separate line item, she really cannot afford to do that and have that same peace of mind. So if she were to increase her expenses by about $1,000 per month while keeping the healthcare costs in the plan now says you only have about a 44% probability of success. your median ending portfolio value is $0, which basically means that she's going to run out of money. There's a good chance she's going to run out of money at some point during her life. And so she needs to be really careful and try to stick to that $6,000 per month budget, which should be fine, assuming we have her healthcare costs included in the plan. And again, this is something that I see on a pretty regular basis with clients who are doing their financial planning and their retirement planning, that they're not really factoring in these costs. And again, healthcare costs typically run a lot hotter from an inflation standpoint than general inflation. So if we look here at the cash flows and we go to the healthcare included plan, we can actually track the healthcare inflation. You can kind of see it visually that the healthcare inflation is going to have a much bigger impact on her plan. So if we come out here to age 63, healthcare is $7,400 per month. And this is increasing by about 5% per year. So you see why the difference is so large. And if we click healthcare, we can actually see what makes up that healthcare. And then when we come all the way out to the last 2 years of her plan, ages 94 and 95, she's got $429,000 of healthcare expenses, of which about $400,000 is going towards long-term care. And that happens in the last 2 years. So in her age 94 year, and then in her age 95 year, she has 2 very large long-term care expenses. But Debbie's going to have peace of mind knowing that we have actually factored this in, that there aren't going to be any surprises that occur at the end of her plan, and she's not going to have an unreasonably rosy expectation going into retirement. So as you see with this comparison, separating your healthcare expenses from your general expenses isn't just a minor detail. It can be the difference between a plan that holds up and one that quietly falls apart over time. And when we treat healthcare like everything else, we miss the fact that it behaves differently. It costs more, it grows faster, and it becomes more demanding the older we get. Healthcare inflation has historically outpaced general inflation by about 2% per year. And when you run those numbers out over a few decades, you're not talking about a small gap. You're talking about tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, like in Debbie's case. By modeling healthcare costs separately with the right timing, inflation rate, and possible long-term care needs, we can build a plan that reflects real life scenarios. And that's what allows you to feel more confident. Confident that your income plan is built to adapt, confident that your family won't face a financial burden if care is needed down the road, and confident that you've prepared for the future. Not just the fun parts, but the harder parts too. If your current plan doesn't account for healthcare in this way, or if you're not sure, now's a great time to get clarity. At Haywood Wealth, we offer something called the Retirement Pathfinder Analysis. It's a one-on-one session where we look at your income, taxes, investments, and yes, your healthcare strategy. We make sure it's all integrated, realistic, and built to last. You can schedule your Retirement Pathfinder analysis at haywoodwealth.com or click the link right below in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you think differently about your retirement planning, go ahead and subscribe to our channel for more grounded, practical insights. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Hi, my name is Justin Haywood, founder of Haywood Wealth Management. And if you're interested in learning about how we help our clients live their retirement to the fullest, visit us at haywoodwealth.com. Thank you so much.